Hi everyone, my name is Dee Roussel, also known as Deja, and today I am going to be doing my Reddit fantasy book bingo wrap up. The first time that I heard about this book challenge or this bingo card was last year from Angela at Literature Science Alliance, and I thought that this would be just a fun opportunity for me to just try to hit some prompts. I usually don't participate in a bingo or even readathons like that because I always fail at them, but this one was a year long and I figured that I could potentially do the challenge, and I did it a little bit differently in that I don't have a set TBR for this kind of challenge, but I do go back after I've read everything towards the end or even as I'm going, and I try to see if any of the books that I read during the challenge period would fit into any of the prompts. For 2023, I actually ended up reading 16 books that would fit the prompts from the 2023 Reddit fantasy bingo. I was super surprised by that, but I'm actually really happy because that's 16 prompts out of the 25 that you could have hit. I'm pretty sure I would have gotten a bingo in that somewhere. So this video, I really just want to go over all of the books that I read that completed one of the prompts and whether or not I actually hit the hard mode of it. So one of the first prompts is bottom of the TBR. And this one did not actually have a hard mode because they said that reading a book that's been on your TBR for the longest is already hard, which I completely agree. But the book that I read for this is Nothing But the Wolf in Me by Nikki Clark. Definitely needed to get to that, so I'm happy I completed that prompt. The next one that I have is a young adult fantasy or science fiction book, and the book that I chose for that is The Sevenfold Hunters. The hard mode of that is a book that was published in the last 5 years. This one was definitely published in the last 5 years, and so I completed that prompt. The next prompt that I fulfilled is mundane jobs, and this one I did not complete the hard mode, and the hard mode was that the job couldn't take place on Earth, and I did not get that one. So the book that I read for that one is He Calls Himself Veles, which was one of my top books of last year, and the character in this is kind of not a bartender, but she's at the front of a club and she checks guests in. So I want to say kind of a receptionist for a bar or a strip club or something. So definitely a mundane job. The next prompt was a book about angels or demons, and this one I actually did a whole vlog about, but the book that I chose for this is Seraphim Falling, and the hard mode of this prompt is that the main character has to be an angel or a demon, and the main character in Seraphim Falling is an angel. So definitely got that one. The next prompt was horror, and the hard mode of that was not H.P. Lovecraft or Stephen King, which honestly didn't seem that hard to me because I'm not interested in picking up either of those authors. So the book that I chose for that is Womb City, and that one I was definitely horrified. That one was just kind of a dystopian kind of horror, but also just, I don't know, that was very creepy. The ghost in that one was very creepy. The next prompt is a self-published or indie fantasy, and the hard mode of that prompt is to have fewer than 100 ratings, and I believe I fulfilled the hard mode of this one as well because the book that I chose for that one is Magic Dark Magic Divine, and that one I'm pretty sure has less than 100 ratings on Goodreads and Amazon probably, so pretty sure I got that one. I actually got that wrong. I just looked it up and it looks like Amazon it has 106 and on Goodreads it has 183. So no, I did not get the hard mode of that one. I mean, if I'm going off of the Storygraph ones, then yes, because on Storygraph it only has 43, but I'm not going to count it. So I did not get hard mode for that one. Next, I have a book published in 2023, and the hard mode for this one is that it is a debut. One that I chose for that one is I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me. That one was definitely a debut of last year. It was actually a pretty good story if you haven't already checked it out, so definitely completed that one. The next prompt that I have is a book called Multiverses or Alternate Realities, and the hard mode of this one is that the characters do not walk through a door. This one I did not actually complete the hard mode, and I was a little confused with whether or not this book that I'm going to put on here, Long Division, actually fulfilled this prompt because this book was confusing to me in a lot of ways. But I feel like it does fit this multiverse alternate reality kind of prompt, just because they do walk through like a door, like a kind of like a trap door area, and that's how they get to like the different realities, I guess. But the realities are just like different points in history, but they all kind of like are in this like same world, I guess. Like, I don't know, I'm very confused with like multiverses, time travel, like stuff like that. I get very confused, but I believe that long division does fulfill that prompt, but it doesn't fulfill the hard mode prompt because they do actually have to go through a door. The next prompt is a person of color author, and this one, of course, I had no trouble like fulfilling, and the one that I chose for that one is the blood trials. And as much as I did not actually like the blood trials, it fulfills a prompt. So, and I actually completed the hard mode with that one because it takes place in a futuristic sci-fi society. The next prompt is a novella, and the hard mode of that is not published by Tor. I cannot think of any novellas that were not published by Tor, so I did not get this one for the hard mode. But the one that I read for that one is Veles and the Ajungo, which I actually really enjoyed, and I'm curious about the sequel, but I don't know, we'll see. The next prompt is mythical beasts, and the hard mode of this one is not dragons or dragon-like creatures. And the book that I chose for this one is Pat by Akwiki Emezi. This one does have a monstrous creature, but it's not a dragon. It is definitely a tough read, but if you have not read it and you believe that you could like handle like the content warnings and all of that, like I would definitely recommend reading that one. The next prompt is elemental magic, and they didn't want you to read the Shades of Magic series by E. Schwab, or I guess a series by Jim Butcher that I've never heard of before, so not really another like hard thing for me. But the one that I chose for that one is Wildseed Witch, and this is kind of like a middle grade, I want to say. And basically the girl has like plant magic, which I consider elemental, I guess, like maybe earth magic. I don't know, that seemed like elemental magic to me. The next book that I have is a queer norm society, and the hard mode of that is that it's not taking place in a futuristic society. Like it takes place in a world that's very akin to ours. And this one I decided that I was going to read the Black Veins, and this one I did actually complete the hard mode of because the Black Veins is very contemporary in setting to me, so definitely completed that. And then there was the prompt of druids, which I've never heard of, but I guess they were kind of like apprentices or something. Like, I don't know, I'm still not exactly sure what a druid is, but when I googled it, like the Last Witch of Rome, Apprentice or something, like the book that I read for this prompt, like it felt like it could fit into this prompt, but I don't know, like I chose it because it seemed like it could, but like I'm still not exactly sure what a druid is. And I'm pretty sure I completed the hard mode because there was like a specific book that they didn't want you to read to complete the hard mode, so yeah. And then the next prompt that I completed is a sequel, which I am notoriously bad at reading sequels, so this was very hard for me to find a book that would actually fit that, but I ended up finding Iyanu, Child of Wonder. This is a graphic novel series that I was enjoying for a while. The second book, not so much, but this one fulfills the prompt. And the hard mode of this one is that it's book 3 or more in the series, and this one only has like 2 books out so far. So this one would not actually like fit the hard mode. And the last prompt that I completed is a book that features robots, and the hard mode of this one is that the main character is a robot. The book that I chose for this one is The Scourge Between Stars, and this one, the character is not a robot, or there is a character with robots, like they have like a robot companion in this one, so it features robots, but the main character is not, so I did not complete the hard mode of that one. So that wraps up all of the books that I managed to read for the entire duration of the Reddit Bingo Fantasy Book Challenge. As for the ones that I didn't complete, it doesn't look like I completed the prompt of title with the title. I also wasn't able to complete the prompt about superheroes, and I didn't complete the one about magical realism or literary fantasy. I just really wasn't in a literary fantasy or magical realism mood, to be honest. Like I was really just in like a contemporary mood or just like a fantasy, urban fantasy mood. I also did not read a book that was published in the 2000s. I had a few on my TBR that I could have chosen, but I was just never called to pick them up, and being such a mood reader, like, that was just not a good thing for like a TBR challenge. I also didn't pick up short stories or even like a short story collection. I mean, I guess I did pick up one short story collection, but I never finished it because I just wasn't called to majority of the stories. So yeah, I did not complete that one. I also didn't complete a prompt that was set in the Middle East. This one, I was actually planning to reread The Wrath and the Dawn because that was one of my favorite books when I was in, high school, I think? I think I was in high school when I read that one. But that one, I was planning to read that, but I just never got to it again. So unfortunately, another prompt that I did not complete. I also didn't complete a book club or read along book. At first, I was going to read a book club book, but then I think I realized that the prompt was for a book club or read along book that like they were hosting, or they had like a list of book clubs and read alongs going on, and I don't know, I wasn't really called to any of those books. Plus last year I was reading like all Black books, so it didn't really like seem to fit in with like what I was wanting to read, or just like what I was trying to read for last year. And then the beginning of this year, like, I don't know, I had other books that I wanted to prioritize. I also didn't complete the prompt of myths and retellings. This one, I just really wasn't in the mood for one. I have Kaiki, which is still on my TBR, and I'm super excited to read it, but I'm just kind of burned out on like retellings and myths right now. I also didn't complete the coastal or island setting. I actually started an audiobook for this prompt, but I did not finish it because I just wasn't called to the story, so I DNF'd it, so I wasn't able to complete that one. And that was the last one I wasn't able to complete. Like I said, I completed 16 out of the 25 prompts that were on the fantasy Reddit bingo, and I'm super proud of myself for doing that. I didn't really have any like goals going into like completing this kind of challenge, but 16 books out of 25, like, I'm super happy with that. So I'm thinking for next year, or I guess the current book bingo challenge, because they announced it, I'm going to try to read at least 20 of the 25 prompts that they have for the 2024-2025 bingo. So I don't know, wish me luck. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed going over everything that I read for the fantasy bingo. Let me know if you participated in it, and if you haven't, are you going to participate in the future? If that does not work for you, you can leave a dragon emoji in the comments. But yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!